Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Here we are at the very first of our webinar series on Getting to College, called What is Getting to College? A couple of housekeeping things. We're going to do the presentation, it'll be about 15 minutes or so, and then we will go to question and answers. And I've scheduled 15 minutes, but answer questions as long as anyone has any. And then I thought we'd have another 15 minutes or so to share maybe some of the local events or some of our local successes or anything that's going on in folks' life. And so we'll see how that goes. We're, again, going to give this a try on that agenda. But if we have a lot of questions, we'll be here as long as you need us. So let me get started and make sure my screen is shared with you. And we'll start the presentation on what is getting to college. Okay, hopefully my screen is up. Someone give me a thumbs up to make sure it's there. All right, great. Here we are, getting to college. What is it? Well, our focus is assisting and preparing students to explore post-secondary options and achieve their employment career goals. That's it in a nutshell. You're going to learn all the rest here in a second. We believe students should be prepared for post-secondary options. We'll talk about what those are. We want to help students build pathways to a career and employment success. We want them to have individual plans that are focused and that they'll have practical training, things that they can use when they go to college. Our mission, and vision, I just made one word out of two. We assist and prepare students. We also believe that every student should be able to go to school. As long as they choose the right fit for their personal goals, they should be allowed to do that. Any student with challenges or without. Why? Because we find many students with challenges and those with disabilities have an employment gap. 40%. Of course, thumbs up or hands up as to how many of you out there have heard, I need staff. We can't find staff. Every restaurant, every place you go has a sign, need staff. Please inquire within. Why do we have a 40% employment gap if everyone needs staff right now? Then again, why are we looking at 2 times more likely to be unemployed? Why is this happening when we know students coming out of school need these options? They need jobs and they want good jobs. And yet it's harder to find them and it's harder to get employed at a time when we're hearing that that is a big issue. We also see that many students with disabilities and challenges want to go to college. Nationwide, 60% of the students without a disability enroll with PSE. Only a third of students with disabilities enroll in some type of post-secondary education program. Again, not to get caught in acronyms, but PSE is one of the ones, or IPSE, inclusive post-secondary options. It's one of those parts of higher ed that we're really focused on. In Wisconsin, we know, based upon people that have answered questions, indicator 13 and 14, we're very fortunate we have this information. So if students have answered the questions in their IEP about their future plans, in their transition plan, specifically focused on higher ed, 62% of those students want to go and only 36% do. Again, we've got 40%, around 40% that shows up, 38%, 40%. On a regular basis, people with disabilities are lagging behind anyone else that doesn't have a disability when they're looking for employment. What's our solution? Well, as you probably know, credentialing. Credentialing is a great game changer. It really is. This is a simple way to look at it, that the employment gap for a person without a degree or with a degree is significant. We know that. College degrees get you jobs. For a person without a disability, 6.2% without a degree, 92%, you're almost guaranteed to get a job. If you have a disability and you don't have a degree, again, that third, 33%. The employment gap is 42.5%. As soon as a person with a disability gets a credential, what happens? Look at that number, 3%. The employment gap is shattered. Well, college is expensive. We hear this a lot. Guess what? When you go to college, as we all know, many people, after they get a college degree, make more money. 84% more, according to this statistic. Now, we've heard also that for some people, you could basically double your lifetime wages once you go to some kind of post-secondary credentialing program. We think that this is a solution to all the problems that we see with employment lack, gaps, desire gaps, the unemployment rate. All of those things can be solved by going to college. This is in our core beliefs and our core values that post-secondary education, anything after high school, is for everyone, that it exists for everyone, that there should be options for everyone. We want to remove those barriers for all students. We are not a program that focuses on a specific track or a specific type of program. We're a standalone program. We're unbiased. We're not interested in that. We're interested in what the student wants and how to fit them in the best place. So we're not recruiting for programs. We're not recruiting students to go to a specific program, and we're certainly not going to be training them for that. We're training them to go into any program that they choose they want to do for their career. What's a good fit? Now, we've danced around the word just a little bit using people with disabilities and challenges. That's because this program doesn't discriminate. It's inclusive. If you have an IEP, yes, you should think about applying for this program. We can help. If you have a 504 plan, yes. If you've had challenges in the high school environment, say you have dyslexia, maybe you got supports, maybe you didn't. What if you're undiagnosed with autism? What if you ended up having some health care challenges or some mental health challenges? We're also open to first generation students because many people that we have found and talked to, not only at the organizations that we've talked to and other folks, first generation college students often have the same issues as people with disabilities. They're not always prepared. And anyone with learning differences. Again, we talked about autism and dyslexia. Ages 14 to 24. So a person is a good fit if any of those things apply to them and they have the desire to go to college. What makes us different? Again, we're only focused on post-secondary credentialing. Anything out of high school. We want students to gain life experiences, but we believe that our program is focused on academics, on getting into college, finding good jobs. All the life experience will be gained when the students go through that process, just like everyone else. Our supports are tailored for the individual. Absolutely important that each individual comes away with a plan, a game plan, a very clear pathway on how they get into college. We also are going to talk a lot about self-advocacy and self-determination in these courses, simply because we find that that is a very major gap. Something that just doesn't seem to happen for a lot of students. Once they enter college, they seem to not access the helps and supports that are there. We want them to be able to do that. This is not a life skills program. We are not going to teach students how to do laundry at the dorms. We're not going to teach them how to use a calculator. But if that student is in a class and is told by a professor that you can't use that calculator, guess what? That student will make sure that they have prearranged the accommodations they need to be successful. Extra testing, time, whatever it is, and that they speak up for themselves when they need that assistance versus just not being as successful or failing that particular thing. We think it's absolutely important, and it's very different from what GTC is doing versus other programs. Now, we've talked quite a bit. What are the post-secondary options out there? PSE is a loaded word. College is a loaded word. So that's why we decided to use college, because so many times it can be a 4-year college, a 4-year university. It could be a master's level, a bachelor's level. It could be a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, technical colleges, trade schools, apprenticeships, basically some type of credentialing. Especially if that credentialing is for a trade or profession, it's absolutely crucial that that student has that. Maybe they'll get the job in that trade. Maybe they'll work their way up. But once they get a credential, it can open doors for them. What are our different programs? Well, we essentially have 3 programs: higher education consulting, where we're connecting these students to their education options. That can be one-on-one or in a group, but it could also be virtual. We do a lot of things in person, but that can be virtual. Our pre-college program, again, a set of supports for students who are a little bit younger, who are trying to learn their pathway, and one of the major parts of that is our summer camps, and I'll talk more about those because that is our primary focus this spring, late spring and early summer. And our higher education support. Students that are already in college, guess what? We can help you out. Real brief, I'll go through this because you can read this yourself. Again, exploring career options for our higher education consulting programs, connecting those individuals. Could be anything from I need help writing a college essay, or I need help understanding the options that the student needs. We know a lot about the different programs, not just in Wisconsin, but also in the bordering neighboring states, as well as we have some wonderful information on lots of inclusive and just programs in the United States in general. Pre-college program. Part of the pre-college program is the summer camps. I'll talk about in the section that summer camps in just a second, pardon me. But we are prioritizing self-determination, advocacy, and differentiating the learning. Pre-college program can be individualized or in a group. Some of our groups could be things like a healthy relationships class, again, geared towards the younger students or older students. But the main part of that we want to also stress to folks and let them know is that we're not leaving you once you get to college. We're going to help you if you need it. Not find a tutor, you can do that through the college, but we're going to find peer navigators, study mentors, residence halls, and we can leverage waiver services for some of the students to be able to afford and pay for students, usually college students that are at the university they'll be at, that can help them. Wanted to talk briefly about the summer camps just because we're almost there. Spot like this. Our summer camps, dream big. Younger students beginning to think about college, we want them to know they can go. We also want them to think about the prerequisites, make sure they're on the right path. The second camp, My Path, My Future, specifically training students to get ready, get prepared, make sure they have all their prerequisites, maybe even apply to college. And those who are college ready, about to enroll, want to make sure that they're prepared, already enrolled. We do have an overnight stay that's possible. All of these will be on the University of Wisconsin La Crosse campus. The hours are less for the Dream Big. It's a 3-day camp. More hours for the My Path, My Future, and it is a full immersive experience for the college ready. They'll be there 6 days and have that, again, that option to stay. So we'd love anyone who's interested in the summer camps, please give us a yell. We're nearly full for 2025. We probably could start putting folks on a waiting list for 2026 if you're interested. When we've done our job, the students are empowered. They feel empowered. They take charge of their futures. They're confident. They're self-advocates. They understand what they need. They can bridge that gap between high school, where there's a lot of modifications and support, to college, where it's up to you to ask for the accommodations and to get the accommodations you need to be successful. We feel students with challenges who build a career into higher education is an incredible step towards a self-directed, independent life. Here's our information. Someday I want to change that picture and make sure it's all of our students who are graduating instead of a group of folks that are coming off the internet. Thank you for doing that, I guess. But we have a website, of course, a LinkedIn page, our Facebook page, where in all probability, that's where you heard about this presentation. And then there's my information as well. And we'll package this up, put it on the website, Facebook, and make sure everyone has it so you can review the materials and ask us any questions you want. Now, thank y'all for listening, and I appreciate it. That's a pretty hurried presentation, but what I wanted to do was make sure that if you out there had some questions, we'll stop this. I'm not going to record the question and answer session. That'll be a private discussion between those who ask, and anyone's welcome to email me at any time. But we're going to stop the presentation now and get back to the rest of the presentation, or the rest of the webinar, and package this up. So I'll stop recording and talking in just 1 second. I can find the button. Thank you for your patience.